Hello, namaste. My name is Dr. K. Varadarangan. I am the inventor or the creator of vegan percussion instruments, the Indian vegan percussion instruments. And this has been a great effort, and I'm happy that we're able to eliminate a lot of cruelty to animals, in this area. And I welcome you all to join in this big event that's happening, making big things happen for the vegan movement, the climate healers, and welcome you all to the future programs.
Welcome to the Million Vegan Grandmothers podcast and also Climate Healers and our Convergence, which is coming up on April 26th and 27th. And one of our presenters is going to be Rangan, Dr. Rangan, actually, and he has a PhD in physics and went on to explain a little bit about his seeing through music that a lot of the musical instruments are made through the death and suffering and the hides of animals, and wanted to figure out a way to bring a more compassionate musical instrument to the world. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tabby. Nice
Yeah.
being on this platform and sharing my thoughts with the people who will be watching this show.
Great. Well, could you tell us a little bit about you and how you moved from physics to making making instruments without using animals, and even maybe a little bit about your journey to veganism and why that was a natural transition to start to look at the music, which is such a deep devotional thing, and not using any beings to provide. So thank you.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and it's been kind of my life's journey so far. The answers to these questions would be, my life's journey so far. So, right from my childhood, I've been very compassionate to animals. Of course, I'm a born vegetarian to start with, and so I was feeling extremely sad about how animals are treated by society for food and other animal derived products. Of course, I wasn't a vegan then. So my family has a very rich heritage of music, art, and literature. So I grew up in an environment which was very rich in music, dance, and more in the context of the Indian scenario, Indian classical music and dance. So I was born in such a family. Very lucky to have been born in such a family where there is such a great family heritage lineage to imbibe these arts. So and also I was very much interested in science right from my young age. So science and music were like two very favorite subjects for me right from my childhood. So they went always together, I think. And when I reached high school, I wanted to take up physics as my main course of study. And then music, of course, continued with the teachers from whom I started learning. So I started advancing in music and this subject physics. So I did my PhD from one of the reputed institutes of India, IIT Madras, IIT Chennai is called now. And music also, I graduated from many levels in the exams, but music was more like a passion for me. So when I talk about music, I'm talking about the Indian classical music, which is almost 100% devotional. So the theme of Indian classical music is devotional, and it's a very beautiful system where you have devotion as the main ingredient of the lyrics, while also being able to be creative. So I think my thinking of being something, always wanted to do something creative. So both in the field of physics, where I did my PhD later, and also in music, this creativity has been one thing that has been always a part of I think, my own being, trying to do something different from the rest and try to create something. So this has been my life's journey. And in 2010, I became vegan because, yeah, you asked how I became a vegan. I think it was a very sort of a natural, a turning point for me, because I was always been very compassionate about animals. But of course, we were using dairy in the family. It has been always there. So when I started seeing cows, roaming around with heavy udders and not being treated properly, and often they would be suffering. I could see their suffering. Then I didn't know about, still till that point I didn't know how horrific the dairy industry was. But then whenever I used to see them, I used to feel that there is something wrong here, something missing. So at the time, I started, finding out what exactly happens in dairy farms, how is leather made, and all that. Then the whole evil story unfolded through internet, and then I took a decision immediately. There was no dilly dallying, nothing, because I knew that that was for me. To go vegan was probably my blood, I felt, and then it just happened. And interestingly, when I shared this, what I felt about this diary to my wife, she also said, join me immediately. She said, when you have a taken decision, that must be very logical. There must be a reason behind it. And she also became vegan almost immediately. So we set a date 1 week from the day we discussed about this as our wedding anniversary day, marriage anniversary. So we turned into our first, our starting our vegan journey that day. So my wedding anniversary happened to be the starting of our vegan journey together, me and my wife.
And how has things changed for you? So you've started building instruments devotional instruments that in classical Indian music that aren't made with animal products. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yes, that's right. So one thing that I must highlight here is Indian music instruments, particularly the percussion instruments that I'm talking about. They are very different from the rest of the percussion instruments. For example, Western drums, Congo drums, banjos. So one of the most difficult part to address was, if you have seen an instrument, like for example a tabla, it has a black spot, an area which is very, it appears like a black circle. So that part is something that I had to invent for the synthetic counterpart. So in the traditional skin instruments, I may say here that the tabla is usually made of goat skin, and the tensioning straps are made of sometimes goat skin or other animals, and even camel sometimes. And the mridangam, which is considered as one of the holiest instruments in Carnatic music, because it is used for devotion performance, is made out of three animals. That is the cow, buffalo, and goat. Three animals. And the challenge of recreating these instruments in the percussion format was to, how do you make that tap spot? So in the conventional skin instruments, they apply rice, boiled rice, and iron oxide powder, and some other, some sort of a glue material, and then they apply it in layers to the drumhead material, so in small circles, and then allow it to dry, and it forms a solid mass, and then it starts producing that vibrant sound. Now, in my case, that doesn't work because the material being plastic and has an entirely different property. So such a thing like those boiled rice and things don't even stick to it. So it will fall off in just no time. So I had to come home, sit on the on the R&D journey, start my R&D journey to see how I can replicate that black spot through synthetic materials. So after a lot of trials, tribulations, failures, I found that a particular type of rubber can be used for that. And the rewards were very high, because once I started using rubber, that adhesive thing was not there. It was a permanent bond. It was a chemical bond. So it lasted very long, and produced a great sustained sound, and didn't have any of those limitations of limited life of the skin instruments. Also, being synthetic, these instruments are more resistant to weather, humidity, and even rough use.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And so are your instruments sold in other places besides India?
Yes. So, in fact, you may be surprised that I have more customers abroad than in India. So,
Okay.
the reason for that perhaps is that, in the Western countries, we call USA, other countries as Western countries, and many European countries, the temperature variations are very extreme, much of a wider variation than in India. Here it is more like tropical weather. So there it goes to both minus and plus, quite by a wide amount. So because these metals are made of synthetic, raw materials, and even the shell, I must say that is made of fiberglass. Uh, so I also have to mention that we avoid cutting of trees, because that is a very important goal I set for myself, that there should be an alternative for wood as well. So my instrument don't even use wood, so you use fiberglass. And then because of that the trees are need not to be cut, and because of that it is more immune to weather conditions, it is resistant to weather conditions. So both the drumhead and the shell last very long. They are resistant to fluctuations, they are resistant to water, and they are wear and tear resistant, and they really last a very very long time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So our
So
convergence, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. So probably if you want to quantify, most of it, about 60-65% is outside India, and about 40-45% is 35 to 40% is from India. So yeah,
So is this what you do full time now?
right now.
Hmm.
Yes, sir, that's true. So I worked in different companies as because, as I once mentioned, R&D was my passion. So I spent most of my time in doing R&D, research in R&D in wireless communication, in the broad field of physics, wireless communication. And till I started this company, Karnia Musicals, about roughly around 15 years, yeah, 20 years back, I was working in those companies in the R&D domain. And then I started full-time working for Karnia. Yeah, it's about 10 years now, 10, 15 years, 10, 12 years. So this is my full occupation. I also teach music, classical music. So having learned it for many years, and have being a performer as well. So I do teaching plus running of this musical company, Karnia Musicals.
Beautiful. You know, when we're talking in our convergence about our theme is making big things happen, and wouldn't it be such a big, beautiful thing that you're doing if we could change all of the instruments that don't include any animals to have to see them? And you're saying they're more resilient, they they last
Right.
longer. You've used your um, intuitive and emotional ability to be able to find the right materials to have the sound correct. And
Absolutely. That's right.
yes,
In
and
fact, there is a fundamental irony, in what we do in music. There's a fundamental contradiction. So, especially in our music, the classical Carnatic music, we call it as, the theme is praying for mercy to the goddess or god. The
Mhm.
main theme is that almost every song asks for mercy. Oh God, be compassionate to me. Oh Mother, be compassionate to me. But we do exactly the opposite. On stage, we use these instruments, which are direct products of direct cruelty to animals, and people turn a blind eye. This is something that I'm still not able to digest. Why is that there is so much of insensitiveness when people always talk about compassion? I'm talking about musicians in particular. So there's a big contradiction, hypocrisy, I feel, in this field, and I was not able to bear it. And wanted to do something. And one more thing is, this needed a very thorough research. I want to highlight that point, because I had to go in great detail, great depth to get where it is today. And I think anybody would think so many times to really put in so much of effort, because initially everything was a failure, 100% failure. There was no trace of success, because there is problem was there's no precedence. Before I started this, I must say that I'm the first in the world to even conceive of the Indian instruments in a non-skin format, non-skin version. Nobody even conceived of it. And even if you told someone in the beginning, if somebody told, so such and such a Rangan has made a tabla without animal skin, they would say it is impossible. So, that is the kind of mindset people had. And all that has changed now because I had to go very, very deep. My knowledge of physics, my knowledge of music, and most importantly, my crying for the animal rights. I think that's the one which made me succeed in my endeavor.
Well, thank you for your mercy, and thank you for hearing the animals call to you for mercy when you were playing your music, because somewhere you were given the message. This is where you were supposed to put your focus and your work.
Absolutely. And in fact, it's been on one side, it's very painful to see this industry using animals still. But other side, at least I know that now there is a way out from this, for the music world as a whole. There is a way out of this dilemma, out of this cruelty, so that, we have options now. And so we have been spreading. So through sales, through the promotion, we are also spreading this message of compassion so that people share it with others, and then also, okay, why did he do this? Oh, there must be a reason. Then they look into it. Okay, then this is what it is. So that's why we call our company as also Karnia Musicals, because Karnia means compassion, just a little translation of compassion. So that message also goes in, so the word spreads, though of course slowly, but people are looking at our instrument very seriously, and professionals, hardcore professionals, are now coming to us for instruments, and they're buying and then recommending to others.
Well, thank you. I'm hoping that for our convergence, you will play us just a little piece of music when you speak.
Sure, sure. We will plan it accordingly. So depending on the time available, we can play some clips or ask someone to actually play it if there is a provision for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your time.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste. Namaste, vegan.
Namaste, vegan.